So you probably think real estate goes up in value because it's safe? Think again, because the truth is actually much more complicated and controversial. From inflation to manipulation, here are the top 10 reasons why real estate always goes up in value. I'm gonna break down those 10 reasons in this video, and spoiler alert, it's not just inflation. There may be some policy in there and even some greed. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding as to why real estate always goes up in value and always will, which hopefully will come in handy if you want to invest in real estate. Hit that like and subscribe button if you are into wealth building. Number one is inflation. Let's just get that one out of the way now. Inflation is mandated by the Fed, which means they are required or are supposed to ensure that there is around 2% inflation on the US economy every single year. The reason for this is because inflation is the behind the scenes driver of the economy. If you know that today is the cheapest you can buy something, if you have the money, you'll buy it, and you're not gonna wait to buy it because you know the price goes up. And while inflation does have its flaws, it is extremely important. If there's ever extended deflation, which means prices of things go down over time, that would mean our entire economy would freeze. This happened to Japan in the 1990s. The values of things went down, so people knew that if I wait long enough to buy whatever they're looking to buy, the price will be lower, and that completely freezes and locks up the economy. If you know you can buy a car for cheaper in a year or 2 years, you're gonna wait to buy that car, and you're not gonna transact, and the money flowing through the economy is going to completely stall. So we want inflation, and it's mandated, and we get at least 2% every single year, and that directly affects the cost of the goods and the services that go into buying real estate. Therefore, increases the price. Number two, rising replacement costs. This one is not talked about enough, and I think this is probably the number one driver, actually. The cost to build a brand new house goes up every single year because of inflation and labor costs. Therefore, replacing a 2,000 square foot house today versus building it 10 or 15 years ago, it costs a lot more money today to do that. Therefore, a house, even if it's not brand new, is going to cost more because it would cost even more to replace it, if that makes sense. Let me give you an example. During the pandemic, lumber prices went up over 300% in a very short period of time. I know that because I was actually building a house during that time, and the cost for all of the lumber to go in my house went up almost $100,000 versus the original bid because lumber costs went up, so the cost to build my house went up because the materials and labor that costed to go in it went up. Therefore, if somebody built a house similar to mine today, the value of my house would go up because it would cost them even more to build. Number three is pretty simple. It's population growth and increased demand. It's simple economics 101. If the demand exceeds the supply, the price of the supply goes up because there are more people wanting what is in limited supply. This is a huge reason why real estate prices have remained steady, if not gone up, over the past couple years, even with interest rates going up a little bit, because there are enough people, there's enough demand built in to where somebody is always in a good financial situation or even can pay cash for the limited supply. Just think about it. If you're going to look at your dream home this weekend and you're going to look at it with your agent, if you know that there's going to be 100 people going to an open house this weekend and there's going to be 25 offers on that house, your price that you're going to offer if you want that house is going to be substantially higher than if you go to an open house and there's nobody there and there's no other offers. It's all about supply and demand. And over the past few years and going forward for the next couple of years, there is not near enough supply. There rarely is. It's a lot easier to make a baby than make a house. So therefore, the population tends to outpace the supply, and that is a baked-in price increase every single year. Here's a perfect example. In 1994, there were about 4 million houses sold in the United States, and there's about 265 million Americans. Flash forward to today, in 2024, there's gonna be about 4 million houses sold, which is the least it's been since 2023 and 2024 both had the same amount of houses sold as 1994. However, there are about 360 million Americans. So we're talking 80, 90 million more people, yet the same amount of houses have sold. Supply, demand, prices go up. Number four is land scarcity. As you all know, they're not making any more land. While there are a lot of open plains and fields across the United States, not everybody wants to live there. As cities expand, they take up the desirable land, and a lot of people want to be close to cities or in the cities. Therefore, the supply is lower because they're not making any more of it. Therefore, people are willing to pay more to be close to attractions and close to school districts and closer to cities, and they're not making any more land, so they're just gonna have to pay more to get closer. And that directly affects the prices of houses even further out. Now, of course, a house in San Diego and St. Louis are gonna be different price, but if the prices in St. Louis go up drastically, it will bleed out to the suburbs and those prices will go up as well. Number 5, low interest rates. Now, if you have recency bias, you'll think that interest rates are high right now, but you can get a 30-year mortgage for 7 to 7.5% right now. And if you look back historically, that is actually pretty average. My parents bought their very first house in the 1980s, and the interest rate that they paid was 15 or 17%, something crazy like that. So over the past decade or two, interest rates have been relatively low, meaning the cost to borrow money is low, meaning people are willing to pay more, or they can afford more of an actual principal balance if the interest rate is low. If the interest rates go up drastically, people can only afford so much, so they'll have to pay less for that house, if that makes sense. They're willing to pay more principal, pay more price, because the cost of money historically has been relatively low for the past 10 to 20 years. Who knows where that's gonna go in the future? Most people don't think it's gonna go up a ton. In fact, it's probably gonna come down a little bit. So again, that's gonna drive prices up. Number 6 is wealth preservation. What do I mean by that? Real estate is an incredible investment. People in the US know that, and people around the world know that. So a lot of wealthy people preserve their wealth by buying up land, by buying up apartment complexes, or by buying up rental properties, therefore even shortening that supply. So a lot of people preserve their wealth around the world by buying real estate in the United States, which takes away the supply for other people that want to buy their very first house, or just people that want to buy an investment house themselves, therefore driving up the price. Number 7, government policies. There are so many write-offs when it comes to owning real estate, whether you're talking about a personal house or an investment property. The government and the IRS want people to own real estate. From depreciation to being able to write off your interest, to being able to write off your real estate taxes, to dozens and dozens of other write-offs and benefits to owning real estate. The laws and taxes make it very appetizing to own real estate. And again, this is adding to that supply demand. It makes it even more appetizing, hence ramps up the demand of people wanting to own investment properties and personal properties, yet the supply simply can't catch up. Number 8, economic growth and wages. This one is localized to a certain degree, as I guess all real estate is, but as wages go up and people make more money, they're willing to pay more. For example, the housing in Silicon Valley is insanely high. Yes, they're nice houses, but a lot of people made a lot of money in the past 20 years in the tech boom of Silicon Valley. That is part of the reason why the properties in that specific area have gone up in value so much. This happened a lot recently in Austin. A lot of different companies moved to Texas, specifically Austin, because of the general business laws and taxes in the state of Texas. Therefore, it drove up all of the housing prices in Austin, even for the people that live there. People were and are moving there in droves, hence bringing up the demand again. And these companies are moving their headquarters there, and tens of thousands of people are moving there, again, buffing up that demand. So as people make more money in a lot of different markets, the prices of those houses go up because they can afford more and they want to live there. Number 9, psychological factors. Remember 2008? Well, if you don't remember it, you've probably read about it or seen a movie about it. The psychology of that was fascinating. Speculation and greed drove up the prices to an insane level in 2005, 6, and 7, and fear that the US economy was going to die drove prices down an insane amount. Now, I've done a ton of research, and there was multiple reasons, like a perfect storm of why 2008 was so bad for the world economy, the US economy, and obviously the real estate market. However, speculations in people's mindset was a huge part of that. I've read articles and seen interviews of people that thought in 2005 and 6 that the prices were never ever going to go down again, and it was only going to go up for the rest of their life. That's obviously not realistic, but smart people thought that. So a lot of it is in people's minds, and people that watch this video and just generally see the numbers know that real estate goes up in value, so they're okay with it. So a lot of it is in between the ears. And number 10, lack of affordable options. In a lot of places over the past few years, the cost to own real estate has gone up drastically higher than people's wages, and the cost of rent has gone up faster than people's wages. We are in an affordability crisis right now, which is why in 2025, there is a ceiling to the price of real estate. There's only so much people can pay, but then there's also a very, very high floor as well. I think we're gonna bounce up and slightly bounce down potentially seasonality wise, because there's not enough supply out there for prices to fall off a cliff, but also we're at a peak in affordability. People simply can't pay much more than they're paying right now. And with inflation and the cost of labor and materials, as we mentioned earlier in this video, you can't just make a house overnight for cheap. I know they're looking at 3D printing houses and all of these other things, but technology is a long way away from making houses affordable. So it's not just inflation and supply and demand. There are a lot of other factors that go into the fact that real estate goes up in value. I always say death, taxes, and US real estate goes up in value are the 3 guarantees in life. But here's the kicker. The same system that inflates prices also creates massive inequality. Is real estate really the American dream, or is it a rigged game? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know it's going to go up in value over time no matter what, so I'm buying as much of it as I can, and I think you should be doing the same thing if you want to provide a financially secure future for your family. If you want to learn how to buy real estate using none of your own money, I bought $50 million worth of rental properties without using a dime of my own money. I'd love to show you how to do it. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, hit the notification bell, and check out this video over here that walks you through how to buy real estate using none of your own money. See you on the next one.